Greetings and salutations. Thanks for stopping by and checking out my series of introductory videos to Raid Shadow Legends. The desktop version's out. It's beautiful. And any new players that are coming in on the desktop version, you want to see what it's all about, I want to help. Because I've been playing this for many months now, and I really enjoy it, and I hope you will too. So if I can help in any way, let me know, hit me up, what have you. This, of course, is the Bastion. Let me switch over my screen here. The Bastion, which I already have a video about to get you acquainted with that. But now we're going to start digging into the campaign a little bit, which is the storyline and the framework of conflict across Teleria that the game presents you with. And for a gacha game, this is kind of a weird one because there's no gacha. Like, there's no mass gift of heroes or artifacts or what have you to start the game, like a lot of other games of this genre will do, like Epic 7, 30 tries at 10 rolls to get stuff. You just keep doing it until you get what you want. This game doesn't do that. It has a different economy, it takes a different tactic. Everything is earned, and I actually really appreciate that. So, if you go down here on the battle screen, the only thing that's available right now is the campaign, because we're only level 3 and we're just starting. But this map here will show the various strongholds scattered across the continent that you will pillage, ransack, and defeat the bosses to get to the very end. And you will do this 3 times. There's normal mode, hard mode, and then brutal, finally. And there will be times along the way that you get stuck and you can't progress, and you're going to have to change things up, re-gear, use different heroes, whatever, to get through to the next stage. But that's all part of the fun. You'll notice here, the portrait here is the boss that you're going to be fighting on that level. The icon here is the items that are dropped, the category slot of equipment, so health, offense, defense, etc. And then this top right hand corner here is the special drop that will only happen the first time you go through. So here we have War Priest, which is a rare hero. She's a healer. She'll probably carry you through. She'll probably be part of your team, barring any other drops you get for a while. And then some artifacts. This is a rare tome that'll help improve your skills for characters. Let's just open up Kara Castle and we'll look at this. See, this will show now, they're all life artifact drops, which gives you a bonus to your hit points. And then this is the weapon slot, the helmet slot, shield, gloves, chest piece, boots. And then finally, some of the boss can be anything. Really, anything can drop here. Any of this set can drop, and usually at a higher rarity level. So that's kind of nice. Or star level, it just depends. And then the first time you go through, you get War Priest as a reward. The miscellaneous drops here on the side, these are unique to this castle. So here, Valerie is a really, really good character. And she can drop at any point. It's not just off the boss. It's any of these stages can drop any of these miscellaneous drops here, in addition to, or sometimes in replacement of, usually it's in addition to the artifact drop. Conqueror, again, he has a really neat special ability where he blocks revive. It can be really useful later on. These are 2 pretty good drops. The 2 stars, these particular ones, are food. And food is a mechanic we can talk about later. It's just we would use these to level up these. Kind of an act of cannibalism, but what have you. Alright, so let's go back in. And let's fight. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so the first drop we get is Sniper. The first shard that we open is always this character. And then this, our lead, which if they have an aura, which is this thing right here, will give whatever bonus that is to the entire team for the duration of the fight. Alright, now down here we can set it's either auto or not, and we'll just auto our way through this. And I increased the speed to double speed so that, you know, the animations are super pretty. You know, we're only young ones, so let's just get through it. And I don't know, my sniper is level 2. I don't know how that happened, but such is life. This shouldn't take too long. See, there's Valerie. And then that's the Grandmaster, I believe, is that character there that we're fighting. Alright, way to put them away, guys. Appreciate it. We've leveled up. Of course, every time you level up, you get a refill of energy, and then an additional to your max, as well as some gems. Now, the next button will take us to the next level. Edit team will let us replace, it'll rerun that level again. Like, say we failed, and we can say, oh, let's try it with a different team composition. So we can go out there, and then we could switch out Sniper for, who is this? Blood Painter, who is just not a very good character, so we're not going to do that. So yes, so this is the campaign. Now I'm going to switch accounts and show you something a bit more down the line. Oh, first, let's go down here. This timeline here is a star level of stars you can accumulate as you progress through. So you see how this has 3 stars, and then each level has its own star level. You have to hit certain requirements to max out your 3 stars. And I think the last one is, you have to go through with only 2 heroes and neither of them dying to get the full 3 stars. And that is easy at first, and then it becomes progressively harder, of course. But as you fill all these out, you get these rewards along the way, culminating eventually when you finish the level, the entire map, at 3 stars for every level, you get a void shard. So, throwing you a little bone there. Alright, let's switch accounts and see what we got. And okay, we're back. And what we have here is my main account, fully mature, or almost fully mature Bastion, where if you go into battle, everything's unlocked, of course. And now a campaign, I finished everything, normal, hard, and brutal. And just in case you're wondering, hard also gives you a sacred shard when you finish it, all the stars. So that's nice. But I thought I'd take a moment and just go through the drops that you can get here, because like I said, there's no real gotcha, and if you're free to play, champions are going to be a little bit hard to come by, and sometimes if you're having problems passing through some of these dungeons, you probably won't, to be honest, have an issue getting through the early stages, but just in case you do, I already talked about Carrot Castle, but Sewers of Arnok, you see the boss there's Fushan, a legendary that you can acquire, if you're fortunate. Fushan's a great character. But here, don't sleep on Skullsworn. Granted, he's not useful end game, but if you happen to get this drop, like your first time through, he's actually a really good character. And the reason I say that is because I like to maximize. I look at a hero and say, can they do something extra? Because you really want a leg up on your opponent, because your opponent's usually going to have more hit points than you, or what have you. You want to put one over on them for the most part. So this one has a 20% chance of placing an extra hit, which is nice. And most importantly, an increased speed buff is great, and counterattack is also awesome. The only downside is it's only a buff and not an attacks combination, which is really what you prefer. But for an easy to obtain early on character, that's not bad. And then every critical hit, he fills his turn meter, and turn meter is something that you really want to manage quite closely. It's super important to always have your turn meter increasing if you can. If you get skills or heroes that have skills that increase your turn meter, decrease the other one. The manipulation of that statistic is a key component of the game. And then his speed order is only for faction crypts, which you don't need to worry about right now if you're starting out, because they're not easy. Moving on. Mashaallah is the boss here, another drop that you can get if you're unlucky, because he's not a very good Not a very good legendary. The key one here is Sorceress. She's okay. She's not great. I did ascend her all the way when I first got her, because I did get her early on. Attacks 3 times at random, and each hit has a 30% chance of playing a 60% decreased defense. The 60% decreased defense is the highest version of this that you can get, so I thought it would be useful, but it's on a 5-turn cooldown unless you book it, and it only goes down to 4 turns. It wasn't as good as I had anticipated, so I didn't actually, I don't always want to say I regret it, but it wasn't as good as I had hoped. This boss is not droppable, but this character right here, this hero, Spirit Host, is awesome. I used her up until a few weeks ago as my arena lead, because the speed aura, and again, as I was saying, speed, turn meter, all that stuff's super important in this game, and she is a free farmable character, so you don't even need to use your rare books to level her. You can just use copies of her as you go through the campaign and just acquire more of them as drops. And she has a free heal, 50% on her A1, increased attack buff on our allies up to 50% when it's ascended, a mechanic we can talk about later. And then removes all debuffs on our allies, which can be awesome in certain places. Early on in Spider, when all these little spiderlings are inflicting you with stacks and stacks of poisons, gone in an instant. It's great. The cooldown's a little bit long, 5 and 6 turns, but still, if you get Spirit Host, even if you get Spirit Host a little bit late, if you don't have another person to fill this slot, Spirit Host is just fantastic. One of my favorites in the game. Not so for Greybeard. You can pretty much ignore Greybeard. But Greybeard can be your food. Provoke is nice, but it's only 50%. Freeze. In proportional defense, this is kind of good because you can always stack defense. Defense in this game isn't like defense in other games where you have a tank and your tank doesn't do much damage but doesn't die very often. Defense works differently in this game. Defense heroes are usually pretty good. So even though I say you can kind of ignore Greybeard, he does hit hard. In a counterattack and a shield, he's not completely useless. If you wanted to run a defense team, which you probably won't want to do through the campaign, he's not that bad, but again, for the most part, he's been food for me personally. I think this is War Chief, the boss. Again, another droppable legendary who's not too bad. Now, Rocktooth can be useful because he has this heal reduction, which if you're going to go into the Magic Keep, which is another thing I'll go into on a different video, the heal reduction is something not Magic Keep, Spirit Keep. Spirit Keep is what you need for the Spirit Keep. Magic is the shield, so you need a shield breaker. But the heal reduction you need in the Spirit Keep. And he's one of the easiest characters to get, heroes to get that has that, but it's kind of underwhelming. They've added more champions since I started playing that are much better at doing that than Rocktooth. But if you have no other alternative. Okay, now we go to the Palace of Arabiya. We have Queen Eva, who's lording over this manor, and again, she's a shardable hero, and she's great. If you get Queen Eva in a shard, you'll be happy. You won't be as happy if you draw Avenger. She hits hard for her level, but her skills are not very interesting. A low version of a decreased defense, attacks at random 2 times, that's irritating. And always having a crit, that's nice, but every 5 turns, that's not very nice. It'll hit hard, but it's just, she's a hard character a hard hero to use in any meaningful way. Now this one though, Eros, I love Eros. I have a 5-star version just for fun, because again, she does extra things, and that's something that I always liked. An extra turn if the target is killed, removing debuffs, and a speed boost. Now granted, it's not combined with an attack, so it's not ideal, but anytime you can get a hero that can increase speed is always nice. And she also has increase the speed in dungeons too. But this is the key right here. Counterattacks the attacker when an ally is attacked. So she'd be sitting there minding her own business. Your buddy gets attacked, and she will actually counterattack, not your friend that was attacked. So it's kind of neat. This mechanic is really cool. She's the only hero in the game I know of that can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's definitely the only farmable one, and it's just really cool, especially if you put on reflex gear, which is something that you can acquire in various dungeons. It gives you an extra turn occasionally. It's just kind of, she can just keep going. Good character. If you get her as a drop, you'll have a lot of fun. In the Resistance dungeon, which yeah, you just have to get through it, I guess. I forgot who this one is. That's okay. This is also an acquirable hero, and this is all just food. You can ignore this. This is a terrible dungeon. You're hardly ever going to use resist gear, and the drops are not good either. They're just food, and you can. Yeah, I think you need the Hound here, a gore mask. I think you need gore mask for a fusion, so you might need to go in there and farm it for the drop, but otherwise don't bother. The Lifesteal Dungeon is absolutely key. You're going to use Lifesteal gear a lot in dungeons against clan boss. And this hero in particular, I really like this hero a lot. Again, I like special abilities. Special abilities are really cool. And this Ascension level 3 where attacks the default skill whenever an enemy places a debuff, getting a free attack, just like Eros, I think is a huge advantage. Now, that's the low version of decreased speed, but that's okay. Oh no, decreased speed that's the high version. Okay, so we're good there. And provoke and block damage is great. So it's a fun character. Again, not one that you're going to take in the end game or anything, but to get you through the campaign and even arena, that's a really very irritating early on, early level arena character. Okay, in the Deadlands, not a droppable boss. Now, this is a key dungeon, not for the drops. I mean, destroy isn't super useful. It does have its uses. Again, a cool thing that not many people know is in the Ice Golem dungeon. I don't know if it still works, but it used to work, where it would reduce the max hit points of the two minions that constantly respawn. But when they respawn with reduced hit points. So if you were having trouble there, and you're having trouble with that particular mechanic, you could use a destroy set to lower that, which is kind of cool. The best part of this is War Maiden. War Maiden is a fantastic starting hero. She does poisons. Granted, it's the small version of poison, but it's on the A1, so you don't have to wait, and 30% isn't too bad for a farmable character, a farmable rare, in fact. And increased attack on that, and extra hit if it's critical. Again, I always like extra things. And then the Crumbling Blast, which is decreased defense. And then if you ascend it, it's the large version of decreased defense. On an AoE with a 75% chance. It's really good. I mean, you'll encounter this hero a lot, even in the arena, especially for people who are free to play. And then the bonus, though, is that not a lot of uncommon heroes are super useful. Shield Guard is, and the way you build him is key, but he can be so great. So he has this very unique Ascension level 3 passive where he removes a debuff each turn, which makes him great to get around stuns, sleeps, any kind of like crowd control. They don't last on him. And then his 4-turn all the way down to 2-turn defense base, so it hits hard, skill, an AoE, and then fills the turn meter on a critical hit. It's insane. His A2 is nuts. Granted, he's just an uncommon, so he's kind of built like paper mache, so you really have to work hard to make him survivable. But what a fun and farmable, so you can max out his skills without using any books. You can buy him in the market and he'll pop up. You can farm before him. It's fun. I mean, what a really, really, really well thought out, fun character to have. Moving on to Godfrey's Crossing. Soros here is a little bit of fun. He only has two attacks, being an uncommon, but they're both AoEs, so they attack all enemies, and one of them has a heal reduction. So he's fun, but again, squishy, hard to build. But if you wanted a character like maybe beginning of Spiders dungeon, where you just want to hit everything, all the little spiderlings, he has his uses. And actually, if you really wanted to invest in Soros, or you really wanted to 6 stars, all the best gear, he can be an excellent campaign farmer. Now in the Hallowed Halls, this Executioner used to be like the #1 must-have campaign farmer, arena boss character, and he was nerfed. He's still good, but it's not like the success of your game revolves around getting this character. It might have seemed that way when the game was first starting, but it's not the case anymore. He's still really good, don't get me wrong, but he's not the end-all be-all necessary hero that he probably once was. Okay, and let's see, I had to look over my microphone, sorry. Finally, the Brimstone Path. This dungeon is key, not because of the crappy gear that it drops, but the Diabolist is a great hero. Again, speed boosting hero. Sleep debuff isn't the great part, but the 30% increased speed on all allies for 2 turns is awesome. And she also fills the turn meter of all allies and decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. For a farmable, not have to use any books to max skill hero, again, fantastic. You can really make a really good, solid team just with drops that you get from the campaign. Now, another note about this level. This is the universal farming level. When you are done with the campaign and you have your 6-star hero and you want to go in and level other heroes, that's a mechanic that I will talk about in a second, because at some point through the campaign you're going to get stuck. You're going to. So you need to use the level up mechanic to progress. And I'll get into that in a second. But when you during your end game, you'll use stage 3, because these shields, a 5-star shield sells for I think 25,000 silver, which is really good. And then other people use 12.6 if they just want the more XP to level their heroes faster. If you do stage 3, you get a lot of silver and XP. Just the XP is not quite as much, but the silver is a lot. So I would tend to go that route, and that's generally what I do, because I'm always silver poor. Alright, so I'm going to pause for a second and we'll get into the leveling mechanic. Alright, we're back in the Bastion. So you're in your campaign and you're stuck. You can't get past a certain point because you either have your characters are weak, your gear is weak, you have an affinity issue, where you have like all magic heroes and it's force or whatever, and it's just you're hitting weak and you just can't get through it. What do you do? Right? You level your gear, you level your heroes, you ascend your rank, or ascend your heroes to get the better version of the skill. And you're like, well, how do I do that? Right? I mean, Arbiter kind of told you a little bit during the tutorial, but there are some mechanics involved that can be really complicated, but also really easy once you get used to it. So I will go over that in the next video. It's already been 20 minutes. Thought I'd give you guys a break. So I will link to that when it's complete, and I appreciate your sticking with me this far. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, notifications, what have you. I hate having to ask, but you know how it is. It's the day and age that we're living in. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.